Yeah. It's a beautiful song.
It's going to take the Lord this morning. It's going to take the Lord when I leave here today. It's going to take the Lord when I lay my head down at night.
That's right.
Without the Lord here this morning, what am I but just a wasted vessel?
Yep.
What are we this morning that makes us do the things we do? When leaning on God is what we need to be doing here this morning. He's blessed us with so much. I don't understand the world. I don't understand how the fires of hell can consume this world and so many people in it, and hasn't even reached that threshold of death yet. Death isn't final if you have my Lord here today. When you close your eyes to this world, if you have my Lord, I'm telling you here this morning, it's not over. It's only the beginning, Brother Robert. It's only the beginning when you'll truly get to live. And just like that song says, listen, it don't talk about, listen, that when you find God, that when my Lord is on your bond, that you won't be down in the valleys, no. But when death comes creeping in and decides that your time is up, listen, the valleys will no longer exist, Brother Larry. Those valleys and all the sickness, all the pain, they're temporary things here in this world. We just can't comprehend that when we close our eyes to this world. Listen, that there's an eternity to gain on the other side. And if you don't have my Lord today, eternity's still yours.
That's right.
But death is your reward. Listen, the true death of this world isn't when your heart it stops beating. The true death of this world is when your heart and your body stop on you and you don't have that man. Listen, I'm talking about that man that the Romans played a cruel little game with. I thought it would be funny to make a crown of thorns to place upon his head, to robe him as if he were a king, to mock and ridicule him upon a cross, only to give him a staff to be like a scepter of a king, only to turn around and beat him with it. Listen, they played a cruel game with my Lord, but I'll tell you here today, I don't believe for one second that my Lord came to this world just so he could die and show this world that your form of death here isn't going to hold me down. No, he didn't come here, listen, to try to prove his glory and his strength. He came here to die so that I could live in the most humble of ways that I could think possible. My Lord given us so much, and I got to reading and thinking about going back as far as you can to when the first humans in this world that were being used for God's plan, listen, took Adam and put him in a garden, took him and put him in a garden there and gave him everything he would ever need. My Lord brought me into this world and gave me everything that I could need. I read about when the Lord had took Adam there and put him in the garden, Eden, to dress it and to keep it there, to take care of that garden. And the Lord commanded Adam, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, for the day that thou eatest, therefore thou shalt surely die. And the Lord God said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for for him. And out of the ground, it says in the Bible that God formed every beast of the land. He formed the fowl of the air and brought them to Adam. Listen, so that he could name him. And what he called every one of those living creatures, that was their name. Adam gave names to all the cattle and to the fowls of the air, every beast of the field. But still there was not a help meet for him. And the Lord God, listen, he caused a deep sleep to go over Adam. Listen, and took one of his ribs, closed up the flesh, and from that rib he formed a woman. And Adam said, listen, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man. You see, my Lord, he gave Adam more than he needed right there. Adam didn't ask for the help. The Lord seen that Adam needed help. Listen, the Lord, there's many things that I failed to ask him, things that I thought that I needed, and he supplied my needs anyway. He's gave me a lot of reasons here in this world to be happy, to be thankful. And the Lord God, when he made Eve there, she was tempted by the serpent to eat of that tree. Listen, but she told that serpent there that God had said if she eats of that tree, she would surely die. And that serpent, he beguiled her there. He said, you won't surely die. Listen, how often does that devil creep in on us here this morning? Listen, my God has given you everything that you could possibly need and more. But that serpent is telling you that you need these things, that you need those things. Listen, and you don't here this morning because when it's all said and done, you will be judged here today, not by me, not by the brothers and sisters sitting in this room, but you're going to be judged by the one, listen, who gave you everything that you would need, and you chose to cast them aside for the physical things. You chose to push those aside because you wanted to live for the world and not for my God. It's so bad that even, it's as early as we can go back. They had two sons there, one jealous of the other because they made offerings to the Lord, and Abel gave the best that he had. And it may not have been much. The way I read about it, he wasn't giving up silver and gold. He wasn't giving up things that this world thought was pure and holy. No, but he was giving the best that he had. And Cain would just give up things that this world would think appropriate. Cain wasn't given the best of his flock, and the Lord found favor in Abel for the good things that he was doing. And Cain slew his brother there out of jealousy. Cain took his brother's life because he was jealous. Listen, when all he had to do was give up the things, listen, that was a little more precious to have that obedience to the Lord, but he chose the world. The world's been around for a long time. That's as far back as I can record it. And the world has still been there. In the world, it's still here today. It's still the same, but it seems like every day that serpent has found something a little bit more glamorous. That serpent has found some things that is going to twist your mind and listen, and it's going to challenge your spirit. But I tell you here today, I've been challenged here this week. I thought that I had some words. You ever get to where you just feel helpless when you don't have the things to say? Just like when I read about we got so many scientists in this world, they can explain the way this world works up until a certain point, and then they just dismiss everything and say, well, this is where that God thing's going to come in. Listen, you know it's no different here today when I'm sitting and trying to find words of comfort, when I'm sitting and trying to find advice. cross. When the world is clouding me, when I can't do anything about it, I get to the point where all you can do is say, lean on the Lord. Lord God, take this situation in your hands, because I can't fix it for anyone here today. But I know the physician here this morning. Listen, I know the one who touched the ones with leprosy. I know the one who gave sight to the blind man. I know the one that made the lady with the issue of blood whole. When this world, when every doctor, when they couldn't do anything for her. Listen, I know the artist, listen, of this world. When we think about all the beautiful things that we've got, the wonderful works of art we've got in this world. Listen, you need to take a trip up to Kentucky with me and go over those mountains, and you want to see the most beautiful canvas you've ever seen. The way that my Lord painted this world. There's not a man in this world who can replicate the beautiful things that my Lord has done. And we can sit and we can break down every element of this world, and you're going to be nothing but amazed, because it boggles the minds of every human being in existence.
That's right.
I question myself all the time. From going from no faith to having what I felt at one time, all the faith in the world. At one time being an atheist, not caring anything about this. And then trying to find all the things in this world to fill a void that I didn't understand. And I would take and take and take and take all these things, but it never made me whole. All it did was make things worse. And I remember a time when I was getting older. I just turned 18, and as soon as I turned 18, I thought it was time. Legally, nobody could keep me bound in a house, so I'm going to move out on my own. And when I moved out on my own, you see, I was raised by my grandparents there in Kentucky. And when I moved out on my own, it wasn't until I was 18 years old that I had my first cell phone. I never even had one when I was growing up, didn't know anything about them, but once I got one, I called my grandmother there, and I made the mistake of telling her what my number was, because every single day that I was gone from that house, at some point in time during the day, that phone would ring, and she would say, Shad, I just need you to come on home. Listen, all you got to do, she said, you can work way out there if you want to, that's fine, but come here at night and rest your head. You won't have to pay any bills, and I'll feed you if you'll just come on home. Worried about what I was getting into, and rightfully so, because I was into this world. I dove head first into a pool without water. Listen, I dove into this world and thought I was enjoying myself, but when I would go to my little apartment at night by myself, it would take everything in me not to cry, because I still couldn't figure out what I wanted. I still couldn't figure out what was missing, and I felt alone. There was a time when one night I just went a little bit too hard, and that next morning, still barely in my own mind, I got a phone call. Listen, and that number, I didn't recognize it at first. It was my great-grandmother's. Listen, it was her number, and when I answered the phone, that voice on the other end said, Shad, Mommy passed away last night. And I was thinking to myself, this is going to be one of those big ordeals. See, my family, they only seen each other when somebody died. When somebody died, that's when they all wanted to get together. Listen, and even when they got together then, I would hear all kinds of crazy stories. Listen, this one told this one's pursed for drugs. This one's out here saying these things, and they would just fight constantly, no matter where they went. And the first thing came into my head was, God, why do I have to go through this? Couldn't you have took them a little bit later on, so I wouldn't have to go through this right now? But the more and more I listened on that phone, the more and more I started to realize who I was talking to, and it was my aunt there. When I finally realized who it was, I said, wait a second, who are you talking about? Who is it that died? And she was telling me that it was my grandmother there. And you want to talk about sobering up, you want to talk about knowing who I was in a split second. I knew exactly where I was and what I was doing. In that whole ride over there to that house, all I could think about was those little phone calls. Listen, saying, I'm praying for you. Why don't you just come home? And you know, my whole life, that woman, she always acted like she was so proud of me. There wasn't nothing that I could do, that would make her turn her back on me. But you know, she would pray often, and she would tell me about it often, the prayers that she's throwing up for me, and asking me, why don't you just come home? Well, I went to that house where they had her, the funeral home people. They were in there, and they asked me, they said, Shad, do you want to see her before we take her away? And I didn't want to see it. I have an issue with those kind of things, especially back then. I thought death, it's so final. Listen, death, never see him again. Death, it's going to ruin my life here on this day. And I went back into that room where she was laying on her back, and I wish you could have met her. The smallest woman I think I've ever met in my life. She wasn't even probably just a little over 4 foot. She was a little bitty woman, and she was laying there in that bed with her hands just like this on her chest. And let me tell you, brother, when I seen her there, you want to talk about a heartbreak, and you want to talk about this world. Listen, all the things that I had been doing, the first thing that came to my head was, I can go to those things right now, and maybe it'll fill this void that I just got. The void that I had, it got a little bigger, and it got a little deeper. And that night I went out and I lived the ways of this world, the hardest that I could. But when I woke up the next day, everything was just the same, maybe a little bit worse. But you know, when I was a young boy, we had a time during the day, she would get up so early and start cooking food. You would smell it all day long in that house. And you know, we had a little time where she would rest, and we would lay on her bed and she would say prayers. And the whole time she was saying prayers, she'd have her hands like this on her chest, and she would just continue to pray and pray until she wasn't talking anymore. And I would look over and she'd be asleep with her hands like this on her chest. I tell you, that night when my Lord decided to take her home, she was talking to someone before she closed her eyes. She was talking to a man that I didn't know. And it wasn't long after I was deep down in the coal mines, flat on my face, crying out, looking and searching for something that was going to make me whole, looking for something to get me away from this world. And I went down flat on my face, and when I came up, I was a brand new creature to this world. When I went down, I was looking for home. I was looking for a place to finally call home. Going back to Kentucky now, I can't hardly stomach it anymore, because a place that was my home for 19 years, home is gone now. Both of my grandparents are dead, but let me tell you, here this morning she would call me all the time and say, why don't you just come home? And you know, one day when I laid down, when I laid my life down in that little dirty coal mine, ones, flat on my face. I cried out to a man, and all I could think about was her saying, why don't you just come home? And when I found my Lord, He had the same thing for me. Why don't you just come home? And you know, everything in this world is temporary here today. I've come to find that every day something changes, and it won't go back to the way it was. But I'm looking for a day when I close my eyes and everything that I thought was home is going to truly be home on the other side. We got so much to be thankful for here today.
Yes, we do.
So much to be thankful for. And I'm telling you, I don't understand the world. I don't understand the minds of other than my own.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know anybody else's heart other than my own. And I'm not going to pretend to say that I do. But it got to a point where I sat in that little church house, and everything that was being preached, it felt like it was directed toward me.
Yeah, that's
And it's no different today.
That's right.
Everything that is preached, it feels like it has to do with me. Even when it don't necessarily have to be aimed toward you, but I feel it.
Yep.
It burns.
Yeah.
But it's a good kind of burn because there's a fire, just like those lines. There's a fire that this world just cannot see.
Yep.
And I tell you, those flames that'll make you want to be righteous. And if it doesn't here this morning, there is something wrong. You are doing something wrong. You can dress it up however you want. You can play religion.
Yep.
But you won't earn
I'm
salvation.
afraid this world does.
Play as much religion as you want here this morning, but it will not earn you salvation. Salvation comes from the Lord. And it's a free thing. It's laying out there for you to take. You need to take it here this morning. And if there's one under the sound of my voice that don't know my Lord, let me tell you, you need to be praying here today. If you don't know my Lord here this morning, I'm telling you that you're not going to find satisfaction in this world by living in the world, but you're going to find peace. Listen, I'm at peace here this morning. Listen, just like Brother Brandon was preaching, oh death, where is your sting? When she left this world with a smile on her face and her hands on her chest. Oh, death, where is your sting here this morning? Oh, grave, where is thy victory? The victory is in the Lord here this morning, and it has been since the beginning of time, and it will be when this book is closed forever and ever. I love each and every one of you here this morning. I'm going to give Brother Chris a little bit of time. No, you come on. I want to hear you. Well, then you got a quarter. I'm going to get out of the way. Love each and every one of you.